Steinhoff is once again facing the fallout from its accounting scandal. Parliament has ordered the company to name the executives accused of inflating profits and asset values. A report by auditing firm PwC names several executives, including former CEO Marcus Jooste. Those names were not revealed to the public, but Parliament has now stepped in. The other executives include Dirk Schreiber, Ben Lachranzi and Stiham Grobler. ENC's Annika Larsen is tracking the story and joins us now live from Parliament. Annika, good to see you. Step in the right direction for Parliament.
Yes, Parliament really forcing Steinhoff's hand in terms of releasing those names. PwC released the report just after the close of the markets last Friday, 16 months after Marcus Jooste walked out of the building, so to speak, and thus the company, you could say, if you listen to MPs here, billions in rands and shares plunged. So I do have with me the man who was really brought in to clean up the mess, the new CEO of Steinhoff. Mr. Louis du Preez, thank you so much for joining us. You've just arrived from London and now you've faced the ire of MPs here who said that they didn't see why you couldn't reveal the names of those implicated in PwC's report.
And as I said in Parliament just now, I understand the frustration. Obviously, we have to operate within the legal constraints that we have across many jurisdictions, but once the Parliament got their legal advisor to address the committee, I think we were directly ordered to produce the names. We had the names and therefore we complied with the direction and made the 8 names available as requested and instructed by Parliament, or by the subcommittee, sorry.
The report states that a small group of former Steinhoff executives, there's nobody implicated in the PwC report that's currently at Steinhoff at the moment.
As one of the other journalists asked me, you'll appreciate that I acted on a specific instruction given by Parliament, so I wouldn't like to speculate wider than that because we've got the same privacy issues in respect of other people. But the small group that we referred to in the media statement of Friday, those are the names that I disclosed on instructions today.
You were concerned that revealing those names would possibly jeopardize criminal proceedings in foreign jurisdictions such as the Netherlands and Germany. Have you had any sort of word as to how advanced their criminal prosecution or state of progress is?
So in Germany, those prosecutions have been going on since 2015, we've established. So those are ongoing. We are in regular contact via our advisors with the authorities in Germany. I'm not aware of any criminal proceedings in the Netherlands. As we know, we have laid certain charges as a group in South Africa, and the Hawks and the NPA did give some feedback in Parliament on that this morning.
It's a PwC report is 3,000 pages with, I think, 4,000 annexures. Why won't you give it to me?
It's because a good question, and it's the question I get probably 10 times a day, is, as we said in the presentation today, it's a legally privileged document. It was done in the contemplation of litigation, both outgoing and what we've received, and privilege is still sacrosanct. I know that there are a whole host of regulators that have been engaging with us over the last few days to get access to it. We will, as we always do, cooperate with the regulators, make sure that we comply with the necessary laws and regulations, and if that, under that ambit, puts us in a position that we can make it available, we will, but obviously always subject to the confidentiality and the legal privilege that adheres to the report.
You are the only person at Steinhoff who has that report, is that correct?
No, so the whole board, both the supervisory board and the management board, has got an electronic version of it. I'm the only one who's got a printed copy of the report. The annexes I've got in 2 hard drives, but the printed report I've got a copy of.
So leaking it would be quite tricky for a journalist.
You'll need a bossy to come and fetch it.
Your board chair, Heather Son, was saying that Steinhoff is still in a very precarious position. It's trading at 90% less than what it was pre the big scandal. What does that mean in terms of reparations, which some MPs were calling for?
So there's 2 things I think to take note of there. The first is that the arrangement with the creditors, the 3-year deal, is still open. It's not been finally implemented, so the company voluntary arrangement was voted in with an overwhelming majority in December last year. However, it's been challenged by a Mr. Seifert-related entity in the courts in London. We hope to have that argued during the course of next week, Brexit depending, and then we should hopefully shortly thereafter start getting judgments, and then hopefully, if our side of the story is upheld, we will then be able to implement the restructuring, which will put the company in a position that it's got a 3-year deal on the debt. Dealing then with the litigation, is there, on last count, I think 7 action groups that have instituted action against Steinhoff. That's over and above all of the vendor claims like Dr. Wiese's claim and some others. And now that the PwC report is in, I see Dr. Wiese yesterday said he's happy to engage with the company. We will do that in a structured way, not just with Dr. Wiese, but with all claimants, because ultimately it's in the best interest of everyone that Steinhoff survives, because that's the only way that shareholders, litigants, creditors, and all of those people that work for the company is safe, and that they will recoup some of their losses.
Thank you so much, Mr. du Preez. That was the CEO of Steinhoff. He's taken over from Marcus Jooste, now named today for the first time publicly, along with the rest of his executive team, as having been involved in inflating profits and assets of the company, and therefore being looked into by the Hawks for fraud, as well as contravening the Corruption Act and the Companies Act. So very little word from the Hawks, unfortunately, apart from requests for mutual legal assistance from other jurisdictions, but really, I think, relying heavily on this PwC report, which, as I said, is 3,000 pages long. This was a very, very complex and well-shrouded corporate fraud that Nikki Newton-King from the JSE said they could not have picked up because of the deception and the levels of deception that were used for several years.
Well shrouded is a great phrase to use for that. But a quick one for me. The infamous Marcus Jooste, what of him?
Well, as the finance chair, who's not known for holding back his words, Mr. Yunus Karim, said that describing him as the man walking around Hermanus in his PJs and saying he'd like to see people in orange overalls, and that one EFF MP in a previous meeting called him something very rude, starting with an F, and he believes that he was actually quite accurate in calling him that word, because there was no other one. Much to the horror of some of the visitors here to Parliament. But Mr. Jooste, we understand, is still in the country, either in Stellenbosch or at his home in Hermanus. We understand he hasn't fled to Vegas. Well, that was the last time I've spoken to his lawyer, who assured me he had not left the country.
All right, thank you so much, Annika Larson, there covering that particular story from Parliament, speaking to us live from Parliament. A forensic report released last week details of progress made in acting against top executives accused of wrongdoing at Steinhoff. And today, Parliament has ordered Steinhoff to actually release the names of